Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Black Feather and Ospreys Rugby Fancast, where we're still on international duty, really, but we've got a week break where we go into URC. So we've got a little bit of a tour in the water of normal, everyday URC business.
Proper rugby.
Proper rugby, real rugby,
Yeah, yeah.
back to the real business. So
And I get to wear a jersey for the first time in a few weeks, which is nice as well as a result. Because I've
well,
not been donning the Welsh jersey.
I am wearing a rugby jersey, but it's not official Welsh kit. As Rod pointed out to me earlier on, it's rather cool. It's a jersey of my dad's from, God, I think the oldest badge on here is 1995. So this is a tour jersey of my dad's when he used to go away, and there's various embroidered dragons, Loch Ness Monster, Drunk Welshman on you with like Scotland 1995 or whatever on you. So yeah, there's a Sozzle dragon with a whiskey bottle saying heck. So I put this on today because obviously we are a multicultural household with myself being Welsh, John being Scottish. Um, and an unusual weekend for us really because we said last week we were up in Manchester at a Lego thing, and we went to a Disney concert on Friday night. If anybody gets the chance to see Disney 100 Years Cinema with Symphonic, please go and see it. It was so good. It was a massive cinema screen at the back, and they did songs from various Disney films, but they mishmashed them up and they did all different things. And at one point, me and the woman next to me were crying. And she was like to her husband, "This is ridiculous. Can't believe I'm crying." And I was like, "It's okay, I'm crying as well." Because they did the whole sort of like Disney, everything's fine and hunky dory, then mum dies, the world goes
Uh,
to shit, and then they come back from adversity. And I was fine until they did Copper and Todd from The Fox and the Hound. And that's when I started crying.
It is a sad film. How have you diverged from rugby jersey talk so quickly, though? It took you all of
Yeah,
5 seconds to get onto Disney.
I'm also wondering how that
ADHD
Disney
is a
story might
superpower.
relate to the WIU as well. It might be that everything's hunky-dory in
I
Welsh
can work
rugby,
that in.
then
I
everything's
can
gone to
work that
shit,
in.
and we're going to rise from the ashes. I think that's the context there, isn't it? That
Um,
Disney and Welsh rugby
I
go hand in
suppose we
hand.
Yeah.
could get a Mulan song in there, because there's one of the songs in Mulan that would fit where we are at the minute. Um, but yeah, so I was in Manchester, and in honor of myself and John's multicultural relationship, I've got this rugby shirt on. So a bit of an unusual weekend for me because we were outside of Wales, and I didn't think I'd actually watch if I was being honest, but I got a bit legoed out and I headed to an Irish pub called Dirty O'Sullivan's in Manchester. And made friends with some Irish people, which is
Nice.
always good, really, isn't it? Um,
For those who are just listening, the jersey is really cool that Sam's wearing. It's essentially a rugby tour jersey, isn't it? But that they've
hmm.
added on to year on year. So my experience of rugby tours was just getting a different coloured polo every year, like the cheapest one off the shelf from the local sports
Fruit of the
outfitters
loom.
store. Yeah, 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 with just like a crappy print on it. So that thing is luxury. It's a quadrant classic jersey style with black. Is it black or navy?
It's
Black and red,
navy for
Maybe.
navy
Scotland.
and red quadrants, and then just
So
lots of different tour logos going down either side of the torso. It's really cool.
it is a cool jersey, and it's a proper old-fashioned thick jersey with a cotton
Yeah.
collar, and it's lush. I might break one of the island ones out to go to Ireland, if I'm being
Mhm.
honest.
Do you know
Um,
what? The Saturday morning was so weird going into my drawer because since I've probably been 7 years old, it's just like a muscle memory. When Wales play, you go into your
you
drawer,
grab
get
your
your
shirt.
out, and I reached for it on Saturday, not without thinking, and got it out. And I thought, no, not doing that today. Back in
Mm.
it went. Osprey shirt goes on instead. It's kind of
Yeah,
weird that muscle memory kicks in, doesn't it?
Yeah.
yeah.
There
It
was
is.
I did have a weird moment after the game on the weekend though, where I sort of I cursed myself quietly under my breath and sort of said to myself, "Did we lose marginally because you're not wearing your
Wearing your
jersey, Rod?"
jersey. Is it my fault?
And
Am I
I'm
to
not
blame?
hugely superstitious, but I did feel like maybe I contributed.
It's more to do with the lucky pants, probably, isn't it? Maybe, but I didn't
Yeah,
have those on either. So
no,
Oh
no.
God.
Well, this
Um,
is my first time wearing this Ospreys jersey this year.
with the Bravo
And it's a
logo.
lovely fit, actually, isn't it? The home jersey.
Looks nice.
It fits the body well. It's nice, good material, and obviously the logo on the front as well, which is the cherry on top of the cake, I think. I do like this
You
jersey.
are literally just rocking that logo. Someone really nice must have got that for you.
I
Really nice, I'd say.
somebody especially nice who I still haven't paid.
You didn't even realise. Don't tell
So
my
send me your
husband, he'll
bank
be like
details,
that.
Sam,
I'll
and I'll
send you
send you the
back my
money.
bank details after, and you can buy me
But
But
two pints in
I
Guinness.
only cut the tag off about 5 minutes before we started recording, so I could have returned it up until then.
and when you say
Well,
it fits your body nicely, Rod, that probably depends on what kind of body you got. To be fair, I don't think it would fit me quite so nicely as it fitting
no, I
you.
don't think.
But
Yeah, I I moan every year because a woman's fit jersey is far better for a woman than it is for a man because they give you a bit more around you and they go in a bit you. So a man's jersey to fit me you is awful you. And if it fits me you, then I look like I've been bound you. So plea to rugby top makers, please make women's shirts. It's those of us who are larger chested really appreciate a woman's shirt.
I guess they
But
do
going
make them these days to sort of fit a range of body types. Because, I mean, you look at a rugby team, numbers 1 to 15, you couldn't have a more diverse group of physiques, could you? Um, you do see the odd player running out though, and it does look like they've been dressed by their mum and
yeah,
they pulled on the kit that's in the corner of
a
the changing
spare.
room at school when you've forgotten your kit and everything's a little bit tight in the wrong places.
Yeah.
but
I
then they can also get away with it because they're running onto the pitch to do battle
to
as
play.
our
They're
heroes.
not trying to look
Whereas
good.
when I
No.
wear it, I'm sat with a beer and a bag of crisps, so it's not quite as
Oh,
effective.
it is. Um, but going back to Saturday,
Mm.
then oh, what a roller coaster of emotions that was. I think if you were watching that as a neutral, fantastic. Watching that as a fan in either camp, honestly, I was so upset at the end. And obviously, having Scottish people with me and them trying to be conciliatory,
Mm.
I just found it really hard. I was like, please don't touch me. Please don't speak to me. I slammed the table to the point where the English people behind me like looked at me and they just went, she's Welsh. Because I literally just went bang on the table. Um,
Don't mind her, she's Welsh.
yeah, don't mind you, she's Welsh. And it was a case of shoulda, woulda, coulda for me. I was just so frustrated, and I actually cried in public as well, which I don't think I've done since I was 4.
You
But
said it was a good viewing for a neutral though, Sam. I sort of felt like a neutral going into it. I had so detached myself from the emotional side of being a Welsh rugby fan that I just went in with zero hope, zero
Yeah.
expectations, and I was able to actually appreciate it for what it was. And yeah, you also said the word frustration. I mean, that's probably a more positive feeling to be feeling than what we felt for the last few weeks, where it's
Which is
been
nothing.
sadness,
Numbness.
yeah, numbness, depression. At least frustration shows that we were in that game for a period, weren't we?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I say a period for the majority of the game. So, we put up a fight and going in without being too tied to the result emotionally, I think
Soper
it was
kills
quite a
you.
positive
Yeah.
experience.
Do you know what? When we play Ireland now in 2 weeks, so the hope's back, isn't it? So you'll have those knots in his stomach before the game starts. You'll be invested. You'll be right back in again. And then God knows what happens after that. But
Well, it was
yeah.
last Six
That's it.
Nations, wasn't it, that we gave Ireland a real scare. I remember it because
Yeah.
my cousins were over from Ireland and we were out in the back garden. We were making pizzas in the pizza oven, and we actually dragged the big 52-inch TV out into the garden and put the game on there. And I remember my cousins when we were leading, weren't we, at
Yeah.
Yeah, we were, yeah.
large periods of that game. And I remember my cousins pretending to care less than they were about the result, and all us Welsh being really ecstatic and invested in the game. And then it all went
I
tits up.
I if you popped a clip in from last week, I think I said I just need to see a 1% improvement and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
And I did see that. I do think this is, putting in Star Wars terms, this is Wales, A New Hope. So I think there's shoots there that I can feel comfortable in, that things are improving. And I think a lot of people stepped up and had big games. I thought Derry was outstanding. For the 50 minutes that he was on, his line out accuracy was superb. His tackling was fantastic. He just had that leadership quality about him and his assuredness. And I think his rugby brain from the week before, where that tap and go for Reece Carr's try, showed ambition, showed that, we could have quite easily taken the 3, but we were like, no, we want something from this. So for me,
Was Dewi and the front row taken off too early, Sam?
yes.
Yeah.
They were taken off at the 50-minute mark rather than the traditional 60. And I do think that 10 minutes, ultimately, I do think they could have done another 10 minutes, because I think if we'd have had that pressure on, then we could have potentially, we scored 6 points in that second half. And they were penalties. I think if we'd have kept that momentum going and we'd have kept that consistency, there's nothing to say that we couldn't have scored another try in that second half and made ourselves more untouchable. Because you take it, going in at that half-time break, the momentum was very firmly with us at 17-5. Scotland's heads was dropping. We allowed them to come back into that. And it's not just, that naivety of that Darge try. Even Scotland looked frigging surprised at that, let's face it. Even they weren't watching the ball. Do you know what I mean? But I do think that we made changes too early. We used our bench too early.
I think it's that money ball thing as well that's creeping into all sports, isn't it? It's kind of, that was a set decision by the analysts before the game or whatever. There was going to be a 50-minute cut off for the front row. And there's no kind of, I don't know, coaches have gone away a little bit from having that feel of the game, that the front row is dominant, that they could have continued to be dominant for another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But because that sort of analytical decision had been made beforehand to make that change, you've got to look at what's in front of you a little bit as well and play what's there.
Yeah.
They had
and
more in the tank.
I found Tandy's changes a bit odd up to this point. I think in the first 2 games he was almost a bit guilty of doing the opposite, leaving players on a smidge too long after they, looked like they were blowing out their arse, or they're having a bad game and you just need to change it up and mix something up in attack. In the first 2 games, I feel like he was a bit late, and then this one he was miles too early. So I think he's just, he's a new coach, isn't he? And he's getting a feel for the team and what the boys are capable of. You can't really simulate these kind of conditions on the training field, so you don't really know until they go out for for 50, 60, 70, 80 minutes in game conditions. So it'll take a bit of time, but I do want to see him getting a bit more tactically accurate in that department going forward.
I don't think they were blowing. I easily think they had another 10 minutes in that tank.
Yeah,
they didn't.
There was a
need to
period around
come back.
30, 35 minutes, wasn't there, where some of them were blowing out of their asses.
Yeah.
But then they had half time, they came back on, and I think at that point they were better. They were looking okay, and they could have
Yeah.
done another five,
Go and sack on your
5 to 8
lemon.
minutes. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Dewi especially, he's used to playing 70,
Yeah,
75, even the full 80 for us
He
frequently.
could have
It's
done
just
it.
not that he can't play a full 80 or, at least a 60 at an international level would have been no problem for it at all. But I think the biggest thing for me was seeing us trying to actually play rugby on Saturday rather than just trying to stop the opposition from playing rugby. We actually had a go at Scotland. We tried to play our own game. We talked last week about wanting some identity. It looked like Tandy was trying to stamp that identity, more of what we'd seen in the autumn with us, trying a few things, bringing a bit of shape to our backline and our, there was lots of play off nine, wasn't there? Whereas the week before it was, kick off nine rather than pass off nine to a pod or whatever. There was a definite structure to the play that we've been crying out for. The question
Well,
would
I think
be, why are we only doing that against Scotland in game 3? Why not have a go at France and England? We weren't going to win those games regardless, so why not just have a
I'll
go at
give it
them?
a go. And I think the ball coming off the forwards really suited that 9-10 channel. It was coming through
Mm.
fast. You know, we put, the likes of Dodge under pressure. This is no disrespect to Costello. I'm gutted for him that he was injured, and I did think he was having a really good game and he was controlling it. However, I'm super, super conscious that, and this is not me being a one-eyed optimist or a one-eyed Osprey, I do think if Dan was getting that kind of ball, he'd have been able to perform under that as well. I do think the key
Yeah,
to that is the forwards and the delivery of the ball
yeah.
and doing that, because, we were superb at the breakdown, the way that we turned over. If you look at the stats of, we totally ruled Scotland at that breakdown. Um, so for us to get to do that and get that ball back, because those turnovers saved our bacon at points on that
Mm.
Scottish
Yeah.
try line and within their
I was going to
22.
say, Sam, comparing Costello and
Um,
Dan's performances is like comparing apples and pears, really, because of the tactics that they were being asked to play. Costello was waking off
yeah,
fast ball on Saturday. Whenever Dan had any kind of possession in the first 2 games, the plan was to kick the ball away and kick deep to them. So you can't compare the two performances.
you
If Dan
can't.
had been given opportunity, as you say, to play the style of play that Costello was asked to play Saturday, then I'm sure he would have been equally good. But having said that, not to be accused of being one-eyed, like you said, Costello did have a very, very good game on Saturday. And,
He did
he
have a good
controlled the
game,
play
and I
well,
am
and brought the back line through more than we've seen for quite a while, really.
yeah, and I am gutted for him that he's been injured. And the reason why I'm saying that really is because there's been a lot of negativity towards Dan online, and a lot of people saying, well, look what we can do with a good 10. No, look what a 10 can do with good ball
Mm-hmm.
from forwards. They're two very different things and two very different ways of looking at something. I thought Reece Carr had a really good game again. Well deserved another try. Superb with his carrying, superb around the ground that he made, and I thought he was pretty solid in scrum as well. Tom Francis, again, we've been used to watching him, or we were used to watching him at Ospreys. Quiet game, but did what he needed to do and was a very solid performance. I think Dav Jenkins is stepping up a lot. He did a lot of the grunt work to allow Alex Mann to shine, because let's face it, Mann did. He was superb. Like I'm not a fan. We know I'm not a fan of rating players, but a lot of the papers and the pundits rated him as a solid 9 out of 10, and I would agree with that. Well, no, again, really solid game. So for me, there are shoots and there are glimmers there of what we can do
Mm.
and where we can improve. You're on mute, Boo.
Sorry. I've done that for a couple of weeks in a row now, haven't I?
Yeah.
Bad form, bad
Becoming
form.
your thing.
I was asking about the back three. What are your thoughts there on the selection on the weekend? Obviously, there's the continuation of Zamet at 15, which I've heard probably debated more now this week since the game on the weekend than I have in the previous 2 weeks. I think everybody was of a consensus beforehand to keep him at 15, try him out there. But after 3 games, is it working? It's probably long enough to try and, take a sign, but also gave him a web on the wing. It was questionable as to whether he deserved that call up into the starting squad over some others who have proved themselves in this competition, but also in the autumn. Tom Rogers, for example, 3 tries against New
Yeah.
Zealand. What's his name from
Alice
Cardiff?
May.
Mason Grady.
Grady, yeah.
We know, what he can do. He's a big lad. Thoughts there?
Don't think Hamer Webb did anything wrong. He didn't do anything wrong, but he didn't do anything that wowed me either.
No.
I kind of didn't think about him throughout the game, so that kind of says what I think of him. LRZ didn't look comfortable for me on Saturday. He didn't look comfortable. I think there was a couple of handling errors there, a couple of missed tackles, and I think he was shown to be wanting then on Saturday. He didn't look comfortable to me. Whether that will come, because obviously he's got the height and the speed that we want a full back, but it's a big stage to put him on to get him used to that position. I know he's doing that for Bristol Bears, but
I
I
think
don't
the
know.
issue
For
around
me,
him, I don't know who in the coaching setup or the wider squad who's got that experience to sort of impart into him. They haven't brought Halfpenny into the
coaching
the
structure.
training team, the coaching team. There's no old heads, Liam Williams is not
He's
made
up
it
at
into
Newcastle and
the
here.
last couple of squads. There's just nobody there with that kind of experience just to give him that positional confidence. Tell him, right, if this is happening, you need to be there, or this is where you need to be tracking. This is the guy who's going to be coming up the short line and or X, Y, Z. I think he probably could benefit from a
Mm.
choice person being
An old
brought in
head.
just to help him out.
I suppose the
Yeah,
question is, who do you play at 15 instead? Because Blair Murray was exposed frequently in the
until
autumn,
Mm.
until Jack Walsh becomes eligible, obviously, where he just walks into that 15 shirt clearly. But up until then, personally, I'd persevere with Zamet. I think he's brought some solidity in terms of defensive aspect of the game and under the high ball and things. I think that's been reasonable. In terms of the wings, I don't think there's an excitement with either wing. I thought Ellis Mee was very unfortunate to be dropped this weekend because he's
Massively.
just got that bit of magic about him.
Mm.
He's a bit
yeah,
like Shane Williams, where he gets the ball, you're not quite sure what he's going to do. He's got super pace. He's just got those twinkle toes, and you think he could create something out of nothing. Well, I never
yeah.
really feel that. Josh Adams maybe was that player a few years ago. He's not the same player anymore. And Hamer Webb didn't really give that impression that when he got the ball, not that he got much of the ball on Saturday, but that he was going to do something spectacular with it. And Tom
Yeah.
Rogers, likewise, I don't know how you can score a hat trick against the All Blacks and then be completely out of favour for the Six
Yeah.
Nations. I don't know what his club form has been like. I haven't seen enough of him to be able to comment, really. But I just think we need, to me, wingers, and maybe it's just an old fashioned, opinion and sort of looking at it through rose tinted glasses from the wingers that I was used to watching as I was growing up or whatever, but they always had something special about them, a point of difference that
Yeah.
they had that excitement about them. Whereas now the modern winger is more of sort of what you'd almost a 12, that sort of
Yeah,
crash ball player or whatever, who's solid under the high ball and that kind of thing or whatever. I just want to see a bit of excitement from the wingers, and I think the current combination hasn't really got that excitement for me.
no,
I think what I want to see is that either that point of difference, like you said, Mark, or just the really high work rate. Like, Ellis Mee, I think he epitomised that, doesn't he? He's just
Mm.
busy. He chases every ball, and that drags the standards up across the 15. If you're working really hard and your buddy next to you can see that you're doing that, then they're gonna
they
raise
don't
their
want to be
standards to
embarrassed.
meet that. So yeah, your Ellis Mees, your Tom Rogers, those are the high work rate players that I reckon deserve the shot because they've proven themselves.
And Keelan as well, you can bring into the conversation there. I don't think there's many
Yeah,
wingers that work harder than Keelan either.
yeah, yeah,
And I think we've got to find that point of difference because we're not the biggest. You know, we've traditionally never been the big men in rugby in Wales, but we've had something. We've had a bit of X factor. You know, when you look at the likes of Shane Williams, do you know what I mean? Um,
mm,
he just had that something about him. You know,
Mm.
putting him up against some people, you'd be like, you're joking, you know? But there was
yeah,
something about him, that turn that he had, you know, his ability to just be a twinkle toes, you know?
yeah,
Mm.
We need to perhaps bring people in like that who have got that point of difference, who have got that turn of speed, who have got something different about them. We just need to find what works for us, not worry about what other teams are doing with, you know, they're this many kilos, they're this tall, they can bench press that. Don't worry about that. There's ways and means around that. You know, you can leave people standing. We've just got to find a style of play and an identity that works for us and be able to read the game, be adaptable. I think Tandy's learning that as well. I think you're right, Rod. Changes are made too early, didn't adapt to the game, didn't adapt to what the players could do. Obviously discipline much better this week.
discipline and
However,
defense.
there were the 5 penalties though in the last 15, something like that, which
Yeah,
ultimately cost us. I mean, obviously there's the brain fart moment defensively, which I'm sure we'll come to in a minute as well. But our discipline just went when we were under that little bit of pressure towards the end of the game. I think we started to concede a few more pens. I'm sure it's 5 in the last 15 or something along those
yeah.
lines.
And there was an element of naivety there as well with that, you know, with that thin kickoff and that guy,
Yeah.
you know,
It's
Like,
just
there was.
basic, isn't it? You can go and watch any under-8s team play on a Sunday morning, and every single one of them won't turn their back at kickoff. They're
no,
just coached. I mean, my son was coached. I used to coach in schools and stuff or whatever. That's the first thing you teach children is never turn your back on the sort of
Yeah,
opposition. And you've got a
yeah,
whole, 3 or 4 players on that far side, none of whom are watching the ball at all. And
yeah,
Finn Russell's clever enough to spot that and,
bit of magic.
exploit it. And that was
yeah,
ultimately
yeah.
the turning point momentum-wise in the game. They gave Scotland the belief that they could come back into it. If they hadn't scored at that moment, I think we probably would have gone on to win the game.
And
Yeah,
and at that point, we just lost a couple of our big leaders off the pitch, haven't we? Costello had
Mm.
gone, Dewi had gone. Um, Maybe that wouldn't have happened if there was a couple of senior players there barking some orders and just
yeah.
whipping people into shape. But
Yeah.
again, that's it could have gone any which way. The point is that that is something that Finn is known for, and that should have been identified pre-match. And they should have been alerted to it, shouldn't they? And been
Yeah.
watching for that sort of thing, whether it's a
Mm.
quick tap and go or a quick kick off, or he's capable of that. That is Finn
He's
to
a
a
cheeky
T.
little monkey.
But
He's going to try things.
Mm.
exactly, exactly. But I'm not angry about it because you can guarantee that every one of those players will not make that
They'll
mistake
never do
again.
that again.
And they will carry that with them for the rest of for some of them, 10, 12-year careers ahead of them. And it'll make them better players. They won't want to be embarrassed like that again. Um, and yeah, I think it'll be a net positive. It was a big old learning experience for them,
Mm.
that moment, isn't it? Because the game swung on that and it was lost from there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think for me as well, one of the people who I think their club form is not translating to international form is Thomas Williams. I don't think he had a great game on Saturday. Um, it just wasn't quite there with him.
What do you think's going on? Do you think he's struggling to try and adapt his game to the players around him? Or do you think that it's the opposite thing, whereby the players aren't capable of stepping up to his game and he's trying to execute the same kicks, the same whatevers that he would at Gloucester, but he just hasn't got
Gloucester.
the sort of the quality there in support that he would otherwise
Yeah,
have, or at least the continuity, the relationship, the knowing where that pass is going to, how close to the gain line to take it, blah blah blah. What do you think? Is he trying to adapt, or they not being able to play his game?
I think it's not being able to play at his level, if I'm being honest, and that
Yeah.
pains me to say it. But then I also think I think you could say there's both on certain times when he tries certain things. It's a case of they're not adaptable enough to meet his standard, so they don't know what he's thinking or how he's trying to control it and call it. But then I also think there is, I think it's a mix of both, depending on the. I don't think it's as easier or as black and white to fall in either camp
No.
really, because yeah, he has got that standard there, but I think it's just not translating at the moment. It's not clicking, and perhaps he's not found that right 9-10 axis partnership.
Look, I mean, it
Yeah,
goes back to what kind of game are we trying to play? I'm still not
yeah,
100% sure. I think we're trying to be a bit more, I guess, like Italy, who are getting success finally from trying to play this broken transition-based type of rugby where they attack off chaos essentially, and just try and quickly whip the ball wide and skin people on the outside. I think we're trying to play that sort of game. And Thomas Williams, he has the capability to play intuitively and be chaotic. But I think ultimately he is a structured player. He does his jobs exceedingly well. And I don't know how adaptive he is to be able to sort of break the mold and play outside of his comfort zone. He's obviously world class, and it should be within his repertoire to sort of
Yeah.
adapt and play what's
yeah.
around him. But maybe the game that we're trying to play, the match Sherritt attacking style rugby, maybe it's just not suited for him.
Not in
And
his
maybe that's
wheelhouse.
why he left Cardiff.
Yeah, you
I think
don't
he's under
know.
an awful lot of scrutiny as well, isn't he? Because he's the experienced man in that back line. He's
Mm,
playing with a series of inexperienced tens, with inexperienced 12s outside the tens and inexperienced 13s outside the 12s.
Yeah.
So he's trying to lead a back line of, players who've got, you can count the amount of caps they've got on one hand. And there's a huge scrutiny and a huge onus on him to control the game. And I think sometimes he overplays that a little bit
pressure.
and feels the pressure and feels the responsibility to do that. And plus, his mistakes are maybe amplified a little bit more because of the expectations on him and the fact that he is, like you said, Rod, a sort of a world class player. When he does make those mistakes, they're more noticeable, maybe as well.
Yeah, but
Mm,
he's labelled the best player in the Prem week on week for the last, half a year, 12 months. And he's dealt with that pressure. That's a huge amount of pressure. Just
yeah, I
people
think it's the
putting him
structure
up on
around
this
him.
pedestal. Um,
Yeah.
but going back to your original point, I agree, Sam. It's something's not translating, and I don't
Yeah.
know why that is.
Um,
He's certainly loud, doesn't he? He comes across as loud and being one of those
he's
voices of
demanding.
leadership within the squad. So he seems to have the confidence. It's just execution, or don't know.
Working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when it clicks, it'll click, but we're not quite there yet. And I think you're right. We don't know our style and we don't know our identity yet.
He, he's one of
Um,
those players who, when he's in his pump, it looks so casual to him, doesn't it? Almost
yeah.
lazy. The way he sort of
He's got
moseys up
time.
to the back of a ruck, he slings it out wide, he's jogging around following the ball, and it's a pleasure to watch. But you can't play that kind of rugby when you're not a dominant team and you haven't got a
No,
dominant pack of forwards in
no,
front of you. You just can't, can you?
no.
It was nice to
Um,
see Eddie James carry well on Saturday. Probably the most
yeah,
we've seen him with ball in hand for Wales so far, and it showed
100%.
the potential that he's got. To be that 13 and to tie that 13 shirt down, or
Mm.
even transition to 12 potentially if they decide to go down that route of more as the ball carrying rather than the ball playing 12 like we talked about last week. But it's good. I think that's his best game in a sort of Welsh shirt by a country mile really. So it's good
yeah.
to see.
God, I
I
want to
just
see him
put
in the
strong.
12 jersey. And
I
Joe
know.
Hawkins, he had a bit of a better game, but
Mm,
Yeah,
still not convinced. And I really want to see Eddie James inside with Owen Watkin outside. That would
yeah,
just make me really happy.
yeah.
Sorry, Sam.
again, I
Gone.
just put down that he'd had like a strong game, but again, nothing that kind of screamed at me, yay, that's amazing. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just getting comfortable.
Sorry, who,
Um,
Eddie or Joe?
um, I think Joe struggled with Finn and
Yeah.
Tuilato,
Hmm.
very much so. Um, I just Mark's gone on mute. He'll
Oh,
be back now. Um, but I do think that again, I agree with you that I'd like to see him, on that 12.
yeah.
Um, I know I've said it. I know Josh Adams scored a try, but for me, he's not the future.
No.
I don't think we continue with that, and that's again not a Cardiff thing or whatever. I just don't think for me
Yeah.
he's got it anymore.
Great training field value, and I'd 100% have him in the squad, but um, I think it's probably his time. We said this last
Yeah,
week. We should probably
yeah,
shouldn't
we
pile
did,
on him,
and
but he
it's
didn't
not
have
a
a
person.
bad game. In fact, he probably had his best game of the Six Nations.
Yeah,
But that being said, it was miles off, his prime, what we know he could do in his prime. He slowed down a bit. He never really had a step. Um, he's probably our best defensive winger, and maybe that's why he's in. But he's not going to create much. He's a fantastic finisher, and if somebody puts him on the end of a ball with open
yeah,
space in front of him, he's going to finish it, isn't
that
he?
try was
But
great.
he's not going to step somebody on in your own 22 and do
No,
a 60-meter try, is he? He hasn't got that in the tank.
no, and
Yeah.
I put next to him neither here nor there for me.
Yeah.
Because like I as I say, I did watch in the pub, but then I kind of rewatched um without the people standing in front of the screen and everything when I was taking my
Hmm.
notes and stuff. So I think the takeaways for me for Saturday is that the standout stats really were turnovers, breakdown, our handling was much better. Um, we were very even with regards to territory and possession and everything else. But I think where we've got to get better. It is just shoring up and getting those basics right.
Yeah.
It's all about basics for me now.
Yeah.
Um, I put this in for news later, but obviously it's been announced today that Peter Murchie's been signed as
Hmm.
defence coach, and he's going to start before the Nations Championship in the summer. So I do think that will take a lot of pressure off Tandy.
And for those
Um,
who didn't realize, he's been doing Glasgow's defence for
Glasgow,
the
yeah.
last, I don't know how many seasons, and obviously they won the league
Look how
um,
superb they
a
are.
couple of seasons ago. Yeah, they've and had the best defensive record that season as a result. So yeah, good signing.
And
Yeah, the
Tandy
timing
knows
of
it
it.
from the Scotland setup as well. So
Yeah, I was going to say that the timing of it was a bit strange because a
It
couple of
was.
days ago we were told that there was going to be an extensive search and they'd find the right person and there's no rush to do it. They as long as they found the right person. Then 2 days later, oh by the way, we found a defence coach. So it's
I
kind
Yeah,
of
do wonder
very odd.
if that's to do with Alan Wynne Jones saying, I hope he's now being allowed to pick his own team,
yeah, yeah.
because I think there was an undercurrent, or I have heard rumours that perhaps he wasn't being allowed to have necessarily the input in the backroom team
Hmm.
that he wanted
Okay.
in certain respects. And you can't be a head coach and a defence coach at the same time. You just
No, no,
can't do
no.
it.
Especially when
Uh,
you're a first-time head coach as well.
Mm.
It's not like he's
yeah,
done the job
and
before.
he's no Sean, like Tandy's no Sean Edwards, but he certainly did wonders for Scotland
Hmm.
defensively when he was up in Scotland.
Yeah.
Um,
And he'll want his input, won't he, as well,
yeah,
still. Because obviously that's got to feed into his greater plan. But no, I'm glad they've recruited somebody with a bit of experience because
Yeah,
yeah,
there's no doubt there's talent in that young coaching group, but not a hell of a lot of experience. Patchell, I know that a lot of them are in on temporary sort of contracts, helping out for the duration of a tournament and this and that, and not doing the inter-tournament stuff. But yeah, your likes of Patchell, I can't think who else now, but there's a few guys who've retired within the last couple of seasons, aren't there? Who
Dan Lydia is there,
Dan
you
Lydiate,
know,
yeah,
and
yeah, and they're all
I do,
very early on in their journey.
yeah, and I think there is a step up between being a club and a regional coach to being an international coach, because you've got to be a bit more perhaps nuanced and switched on when you're stepping up to international level, especially if you've not been in that environment before. And it's quite unfair to put someone in that position, because if you're used to teaching defence against a regional player, but then you've got people coming up against your likes of your Geordie Barrett and whatever, defending against that is a different ball game to defending against another who plays for Upper Cumtock.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And that's not being disrespectful. There's that world-class element about it, isn't it? So we've got
Back
a
to the
week's
game,
break.
though. Just before we move on, like in summary, you said detail, Sam. That's the thing that needs to be improved on next. And I agree. And it's also that the final 10 minutes, isn't it? Is closing out a game, particularly when you're in the lead. I think most teams can chase a game in the last 5-10 minutes when the pressure's not on as much, but to hold a lead, the boys will have learned from that how to make decisions under that kind of pressure. So yeah, that needs tightening up, and hopefully next time we're in that situation, we don't leak 3 unanswered tries, and we can keep a grip on the game.
We were in the driving seat, very firmly in the driving seat, coming out for that second half.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't have taken the foot off that pedal or allowed them to get any track coming in. I think we said at the end, Scotland punished us. Finn was class. Silly mistakes cost us, and he's right. But you know what? Being able to acknowledge that shows that you're thinking, shows that and they won't be caught napping with that kind of thing again. It won't happen to them again. It won't.
I suppose when you've only won 2 games in 23 or whatever it is, then the players aren't used to being in that position where they've got to lead to hold for 10 minutes.
Got to close it out.
They'll learn from it, like you said, and hopefully the next time the experience will be there of actually seeing it out next time. Yeah.
And we've just got to not let this be a one-off, isn't it? We've got to back this up.
Build.
That doesn't mean getting a win. I know we've got Italy coming up, but and that's probably the game to just prove that we can compete with those teams around us in the sort of world rankings. We're down at 11th. I think Scotland were at 9th. We need to be at least competing against those around us, don't we?
And I think
let's back it up in. Is Italy week 4 or 5?
5.
It's week
Ireland
5.
next, isn't it?
Ireland next, and then we've got Italy on the last day.
Yeah. So maybe temper our expectations for Ireland, then, but for Italy, that's one where we should be expecting to see a similar kind of performance, effort, score, everything, across the board, all the aspects of the game. It should be building on that one against Scotland.
Yeah, and I think, Alan Jones said it right when he said that's a massive foundation builder. We use that as a foundation.
Yeah.
We do. Simple as.
Yeah. Performance against Ireland, win against Italy. That's what we need now the next 2 matches, isn't it?
Yeah. We need to come away with something or a glimmer, or do you know what? Give me that extra 1% again next week, lads. I'll be happy. I felt frustrated. I felt a bit despondent, but I felt proud.
Yeah, and you can tell that we enjoyed that performance because we've talked about it for probably 45, 50 minutes when on previous weeks we've rushed through it in about 10
Couldn't
minutes.
wait to move on,
I did enjoy it. But we briefly run through the other games. As I say, I didn't watch them. I only watched the second half of Ireland, England-Ireland. I think there's going to be some talks in Twickenham Towers about
Oh, it was fun.
their
It was a
performance.
joyous afternoon, wasn't it? It was
Yeah,
lovely.
yeah, yeah.
Really lovely
Ireland were
to watch.
ruthless.
They were
Absolutely
superb, to be fair.
ruthless.
Ireland have really started to, considering after week one in France, we were talking about a team who were clearly in sort of transition and they weren't the team they were before. And then to pull out the performance they did on Saturday was just outstanding. I mean, it shows the talent is still there and they've got the players coming through. They absolutely tore England a new one, didn't they? Really, really did.
And
Yeah,
you cannot fault the English fans and media for just playing into the narrative. They're either world class or they're absolute dog shit. You know,
Roberts.
there was that game in the first weekend and they built them up, and it just makes the fall for them even harder when they then lose to Scotland and then lose again to Ireland. And
Honestly, you
ah,
you you shipped 50 odd points in us and we're shit.
yeah,
You
yeah,
could have easily put like 70, 80 points on us. But so I think for
but
me,
yeah.
I just think, the wheels have come off their chariot, and I don't mean to sound happy about it, but I am kind of happy about it. They were
Look at
very
Yeah,
packed off in the pub on
Look how
Saturday.
happy it's made us. Look at us all
yeah,
smiling.
yeah.
And Eddie Jones has
Um,
had a dig as well today, isn't he? He said that Borthwick is too cocky talking about the showdown against France after they'd beaten us, and
it's
not
going to be
focused
the
on the fact that they
championship
had three other
decider.
games to play before that as well. So so Eddie's had his little
Yeah.
dig as well today, which is nice.
What I loved
And
during the game was early on in the first half. I think it may even been the first 5, 10 minutes. George Ford mucked up two kicks to touch. I think one went
yeah,
dead, and then one. I can't remember what happened to the second one. Maybe it was just really crap, a really short kick. And then the English fans proceeded to sarcastically cheer him really loudly whenever he managed to get a kick to touch for the next 20 minutes. Absolutely brutal stuff. The English fans are like
savages.
none other, really, aren't they? They are so brutal, particularly to their own team.
Do you know
I
who
love
I
it.
reckon
I love
still
it.
having nightmares? Marcus Smith. Marcus Smith is having nightmares about McCloskey chasing him and catching
Oh
him.
God, yeah,
Did your mum
yeah.
enjoy that one,
Marcus,
Sam?
she hates him. She
I
actually
know.
rang me
Did
and
she
she went, "Are
enjoy
you watching this?" And I was
it?
like, "Yeah, ma'am." She went, "He's a twat." And put the phone down. I was
It
like,
was magnificent defence, though, wasn't it? I can't remember which minute it was. Was it 70th, something like that minute? And he'd played the
"Oh,
full game by that point, and
yeah."
yeah, to catch him,
McCloskey was just
yeah,
superb.
absolutely
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah.
I had him in
And
my fantasy team,
Oh,
so
did
he
was it?
did
you?
good for me. Yeah, yeah,
Happy
yeah.
days. And I do think Crowley has kind of, you know, pinned that on that
We
jersey
talked last
on
week, didn't
now.
we? Yeah, about that, and yeah,
I do think so.
About
Um,
time as well. About time.
yeah. But swiftly moving on to France, Italy. Um, don't think I've ever seen Italy play in red before. Thought it was quite a nice shirt, if I'm being honest. I did like it. Um,
It
but
had me feeling
again,
confused. Sorry, just
well,
get that in there before we move on the jerseys. It had me feeling conflicted. Just when I was starting to like lean into supporting my Italian side and they start looking like Wales again. I'm like, what's this all
it's normally white, isn't it,
about?
with
because
Italy?
France have
So
played in red plenty.
yeah,
Yes, yeah. It was a very French alternative kind of
Yeah,
looking
kit, wasn't
kit.
it? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
weird, isn't it? Yeah,
it
we'll have
really
to go to our
was.
resident Italian correspondent on this one because I didn't see the game apart from the highlights either, Rod. So it's over to you on this one.
I'm trying to recall the game actually. I can't have been paying a huge amount of attention. I did watch
Just
it all
France is
though.
superb. That's
Um,
all we need
there
to
were
say.
but say what?
France is superb. That's all we need to say, really.
Yeah,
Dupont,
yeah.
Chalibert,
I think
LBB.
Italy fired some shots. They had opportunities. They took one, I think. And for a period of the game, they looked competitive, but I don't think it ever felt as if France were in any danger in that game.
Oh,
No, no.
no,
It's not easy going over there. And I think Italy pushed them close last year, didn't they?
yeah,
So I think
Yeah,
France wanted to make a statement, and they certainly did. They certainly did. They
wasn't going
probably
to
left a
happen
few
again.
tries out there.
mm.
But I really do feel super proud of Italy in that they are very much reaping the rewards now of the structures they put in place 10 years ago.
Yeah.
Um, one of the the guys who listens to the pod saw Gats at the Rugby Pod Live last week, and Gatland was very critical of the structure and the elite pathway, and how that was taken away sort of 2014, 2015, and he firmly believes that that's why we're in the mess that we're in now. It's lovely to hear him coming away and being quite critical, also saying Gats law wasn't actually Gats law. I didn't agree with it. I think the gloves have come off a little bit with Gatland now, with the type of thing that he's saying, with the things that are wrong with Welsh rugby. So it's really interesting to see that take for that. But we'll park international duty for now. And we've got Ulster on Saturday. I like it when the Irish come across. You know, I like a bit of an accent. We know that players have been released back.
Four players, I think.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Harry, Ruben, Gartom, Owen Watkin.
Oh, sorry. I was talking about Ulster.
Ulster.
Sorry, do Ospreys first.
Ulster.
We're an Ospreys
Ospreys
podcast.
First.
It's more than four.
We're going to try an Ulster accent then, but I don't even know what the Ulster accent is. I'm not going to try. So we've had them back, and they'll go back into camp as of the 1st of March.
Do you want to say them again? Sorry, because I think I interrupted you, and I think people will have missed that.
Harry Deeves, Ruben Morgan-Williams, Gartom and Owen Watkin have been released back to the Ospreys.
I think they've broken Rhys Davis as well.
1st of March. Rhys Davis is injured. He's got an ankle injury, so he's been released from the squad, but not to play. So
I'd been all right with that if he got a minute under his belt. But he's just gone there. He's been training ground fodder, and they've broken him and sent him home.
Sent him back, yeah.
and especially considering he was called up late, wasn't he? He wasn't in the original selection. He was called up late, and then they've just fleeced him and sent him home. Hopefully,
congratulations to him on the birth of his baby. Beautiful name, Romany. So congratulations to you and your lovely girlfriend on a very cute little one. So congratulations. There is something that's nice that's come out of Six Nations period for you, even though it's not rugby related. But I would like to think that we will see those lads get some minutes on Saturday, because I think that's the reason why they've been released.
Probably.
Back. Can see why they're resting Derby. You know, with regards to him not being released back, because obviously you don't want him coming back and being injured. Not really seen the Ulster players that have been released back. So who's been released back, Rod?
So not too many Irish starters, but certainly good leaders at URC level and leaders within the Ulster squad. So Nathan Doak, their fly half. He is fly half, isn't he? Not 15. Yeah. Nathan Doak's been released, as well as Cormac Izuchukwu, who did feature, I think, the weekend before last for Ireland. Came off the bench, or might have started, can't quite remember, but he's a big unit in there. I think he's a second row / back rower. I think he can play back row as well. So he's a bit of a unit. I wouldn't be surprised if both of those start. And then there's also Tom Stewart and Bryn Ward. Tom Stewart I'm not too familiar with, and Bryn Ward is a name I've heard more recently. So I think he's a bit of an up-and-comer.
Bryn from Gavin and Stacey.
I say surely Welsh, isn't he?
Bryn. Welsh for hell.
Yeah, I think that's why it stands out to me, is the fact that it sounds Welsh, doesn't it? Yeah, he must have some... maybe an Irish parent, a Welsh parent or something. With him
somewhere, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's a back rower as well, so maybe we'll see him get some minutes.
Yeah, so very much looking forward to the game on Saturday. There is some work going on at Brewery Field, so there's not as many tickets available. They've announced online.
Oh, what's that work? Do you know?
Some electrical work, they've said, but it's now the electric Brewery Field. I don't know.
A second screen, so us guys on the terrace.
It is
funny on the terrace. Whenever there's replays, and it's being shown on on the screen opposite the stand, so right next to us. Everyone on the terrace does this collective sort of like lean and stretch their necks, trying to like almost look around the corner to see the replays.
It's just opposite me. So it's like I can directly look across to it, so it's there. But I also pull it up on my phone if I need to as well. So I'm good with that. To be honest, I would say I'd come over and see you, Rod, but to anybody who's watching this, it is quite apparent that my cheek is still bad. You can, that's not makeup, that is an indent in my cheek. I got like a marble-sized bump on my cheek, so it's very it's still there. I'm not convinced I haven't fractured it, but I'm not going to the hospital either. So either way.
If it's a
The
stay
step is still recovering as well.
Yeah, pretty much. Concussion's a bugger, let me tell you. It's just constant headache. So Ulster are sitting fourth in the table at the minute. So they've had quite a nice start to the season. They're sitting there on 36 points. We're ninth on 25. So there's a 9-point difference between us and them at the moment. But I think off-field matters at the minute might have our little backs against the wall and might make us a little bit more scrappy against the big eight than we are at the minute. I don't know what you guys feel with that.
I mean, the sort of potential starting 15 we can put out on Saturday looks really, really strong.
Strong.
So if it was just a game of rugby without everything going on in the background as well, then we'd have a fair chance of winning on Saturday. But I think with the continuing disruption off the field, which is clearly having an impact on the field as well, then it sort of hamstrings us, shall we say, every week at the moment. And that's no disrespect to the players whatsoever. It's completely understandable that they're going to be feeling the pressure of what's happening off the field, and that's clearly going to be having an impact on what's happening on the field. But the side we can put out, like I said, looks more than capable of winning the game.
Yeah.
We haven't lost at home to Ulster since Pro 14 days, since 2020-2021 season.
Wow.
So we've got a good home record against them. They have been flying this year, with a couple of players sort of seeing a bit of a resurgence. Jacob Stockdale, namely, who looked like he was probably looking towards retirement a season or two ago, but
like Lazarus all of a sudden.
Yeah, had a bit of a revival. But yeah, I think we can put out a relatively strong squad. We didn't get a huge number of Welsh call-ups, not like we would have done in the past anyway. And like you said, there's been 5 or 6 of those released. So yeah, I think we can do well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday. Another later kick-off for us, but to be honest with you, it allows me to do some packing ready for Dublin and get my shit together. But then I got new clothes I'm taking with me as well, because I'm going to go dressed as a girl on the Friday. But talking of off-field matters, this is where we need you, or I need you. We're having a march on Saturday before the game. 6 o'clock, meet at the train station to start walking at 6:15. Route is going to be put on social media. We're going to go down Station Hill, cross the road, go down the pedestrian section for Wyndham Street, pick people up in the Wetherspoons as we go past, go to the cenotaph, stop at the cenotaph, pick up the less mobile supporters who can perhaps only do a little stretch, to then end up again in front of the JPR mural for a rally. I have been quite involved in that in the last week with speaking to council, police and everything else. You won't be able to miss me. I've ordered myself a pink high vis because I'll be marshalling and keeping people safe. You're not allowed to taser, guys.
Really?
I know, right? I said to John, I don't want anybody to get run over on my watch. So can I have a cattle prod or a taser? And apparently that's not allowed.
What if it's an
And you can
Ospreys
get them on the
branded
dark
taser?
web. You
They surely
can.
sell them in the shop, don't they?
Surely, yeah, you can get anything on the dark web. So that's the plan. There will be players in attendance like there was last time. Not sure who as yet, but we're not talking, we're talking big names. So that will be confirmed on the socials. If you can come, please come. Bring your flags, bring your flags, bring your banners, bring your voices, bring yourself. We want lots of WRU, shame on you, shouted. And just be present, just be there, show what the region means to you. So that is before the game on Saturday. So if you can be there, please be there. Laugh at me and my pink kivers, looking like a Teletubby. It's got to be something, funny about it. But we've talked a little bit about Welsh Rugby Union, but we can't avoid really saying what else has happened this weekend. In the car on the way home from Manchester on Saturday, then it pinged up on my phone that a notice had been served on the Welsh Rugby Union regarding an EGM. There was sufficient numbers from the Central Glamorgan Rugby Union. They represent Neath, Port Talbot, Maesteg, Bridgend, and they've got the numbers for the EGM. They've met that threshold of 10% of 283 clubs. So what they're looking for is there's 3 motions. First one, vote of no confidence in RCK, and also with regards to Malcolm Wall underneath him. To oust him, you need 50% of the votes, and that's not for the clubs. That's 50% of the people in it, or the clubs in attendance. So it's not the 283 clubs as a whole. So that needs 50.1%. The second motion is about holding elections for the 4 elected WRU council members within 14 days of the EGM. Again, that's a 50.1% vote win that you need. And the third motion then is to amend how the WRU council and district elect. But that requires 70% of the votes because of the way that the constitution changes. WRU, as per usual, is saying we're just going to follow the governance, but at the moment we're focused on rolling out the plan. Who fucking knows what the plan is? I don't think they know what the pissing plan is. I honestly think they couldn't find their own arse in broad daylight with their own hands. So
there's a vision that none of us want to have at the minute. Richard Colleague were trying to find his own arse.
So there's lots going on at the minute with regards to that. And I think the important thing to remember is nothing is done until it's done. We've obviously got the injunction, which will stall things. So even if anything is signed between the Welsh Rugby Union and Y11, if the injunction is successful, anything they've signed can get, unsigned and written back. So there's still lots to fight for. Obviously, I was on telly again lunchtime yesterday, and yesterday tea time with my mate Thomas at, BBC Wales. And I was at great pains to point out that this is not an Ospreys thing. Even though I'm on there and they've got me as Sam Imre, Ospreys fancast, blah, blah, blah. This is not an Ospreys thing for me. This is a Welsh rugby thing for me. Do not for a minute think that your region is safe unless you're Cardiff. So to the one-eyed, 6-fingered bunch down there, don't think you're safe down there. They want 3 regions. They've shown they want to work with Y11. What's making you think that you were safe? So do you know what? You need to start being vocal. And we as rugby fans need to be in this together for Welsh rugby as a whole, not just our region, Welsh rugby as a whole, because we are at a crossroads. And that crossroads very firmly is, do we have rugby in Wales in the future? Look at what's happening with Snoop Dogg tonight. You know, he's put a towel on everybody's chair, man. They're doing a towel thing.
Has anybody spotted him yet in Swansea?
I was going to go
Have
down
you
and
seen him?
stalk at Morgan's, but I decided against it.
Yeah, Rossi's tonight before the match, obviously, but
Obs, why wouldn't you go to Rossi's and have a gravy and chips and a risol? I can't believe he was at AU Vodka last night doing
oh
like
no,
a gig.
mad.
I friggin' love Snoop Dogg. But, you know, Snoop Dogg loves sport in general, whether it's soccer, American football. He coaches kids playing American football and soccer. God, can you imagine if he was an owner?
It would be nothing for him to just chuck 10 mil a year into the Ospreys.
Imagine,
It would be
you
nothing
know,
for him.
nothing
No.
at all. You know, the boy's been at the Olympics and everything. I love it. Absolutely love it. I've said to John, I love the clothing line that he's dropped in conjunction with the Swans. That
Yeah.
green jumper is banging. I want one. I'm going to buy one on payday because I love a sweatshirt anyway, and I love Snoop Dogg. If I'm having a bad day, have you heard Snoop's Affirmation album?
Mhm.
Love Snoop Dogg's
Yeah,
Affirmation
it was
album.
good.
If I'm having a bad day, I do that to myself. There's no one better than me. My feelings matter. It's just like literally a rap affirmations album about saying please and thank you. And he wrote it for his grandkids, so they had something cool to listen to without swear words. But we'll see how this continues to play out, because we've got injunctions, we've got shots being fired back and forth between Welsh Rugby Union, Swansea City Council, Y11. We've now got the EGM in the offing. I have to be honest, if I was no red Welsh rugby fan, I'd be sitting there with my popcorn, loving life, watching this shit unfold. Like, I'd be like, oh, what's going on now? What's happening now? But yeah, so that's this week. So
Well done, Sam. Well done on all the effort that you and the OSC and everybody else involved are going through to just make some noise, make things happen.
I'm tired, Rod. I'm really, really, really tired. Like the last week, I've been bouncing back and forth with police, with council, sorting routes, sorting timings, getting reference numbers, making sure we've got the right number of marshals to the ratio percentage of people that we've got there. You know, OSC have issued a statement of the meeting that we've had with Lance, which, confirmed there was lots that was talked about, but there's obviously things that we can't say. We're not subject to NDA, but things were discussed. And I do feel slightly better after that conversation. But I think the thing that's gripped me overall is and I really had to stop myself from clapping back, because there's been points where I wanted to bite to certain people because it's ungrateful. The people on the committee are on the supporters club. We're all volunteers. I must have spent about 15 hours last week doing rugby admin, which on top of a pretty hefty full-time job is a lot. Looking after my mum is a lot. I have started training this week in work to be a mental health first aider within a work environment, which again is a lot. The course is for half a day each day, and then I go back to my desk and try and do a full day's work in an afternoon. So to have that level, and everybody on within the committee of the supporters club have all got full-time jobs. We're all speaking to media, we're all doing things in the background. Do you know what? If you don't like it, keep your opinion to yourself. Don't shove it on
It's just
social media, because to
pull
be honest, I
together,
couldn't
isn't
give
it?
I
Yeah,
couldn't give a
exactly.
fuck what your
No, like
opinion
Rod said,
is.
hats off to all of you that are doing all this, on our behalf at the
So
end of the day,
much.
on all of the supporters' behalf. And it's a shame really that not everybody can appreciate that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
the amount of work that goes on in the background to get these things done. And, the OSC people were in Cardiff on Saturday with leaflets, not going to the game, in the pissing down rain, getting people to scan the QR code and sign the petition. They've literally gone to Cardiff, got absolutely soaked. So, do you know what? Before you were a negative Nancy, ask yourself what you were doing to move things on and to move the clause, the cause on. But we're in Rando territory, and I've been a busy girl, so I've not really thought of Rando. However, Rod, how cool was that Lord of the Rings Lego that John sent you pictures of from Saturday?
Very cool. He sent over 50 odd photos.
Loads.
Yeah, it was awesome. Some of them were like the kits designed to be like Lord of the Rings kits, and then some of them were just people's
World
creations
building.
from. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
World
I
building. So,
particularly liked the one that was a what do they call it? Like a tabletop map of the
yeah,
of the of the
of the
of
world.
the world. Yeah, of Middle Earth. With all the mountain ranges and the bodies of water and the coastlines and patches of forest, and then obviously the little mini versions of the cities and the key geographical locations. Yeah, very cool,
Yeah.
very cool.
So, scale of 1 to 10, how much would you like that in your house? Because it was massive.
Oh
It was
God,
easily the size of my office.
I'd love a room, you know. This is just laid out all across the floor, and I can just like walk around it like
But,
I'm a god of that world or something.
yeah,
Yeah, scrap railway rooms, miniature railway rooms. Bring on big Lego scapes.
yeah. People have built like Wallace and Gromit's house. Someone did a Taylor Swift Eras tour. Someone built a life-size Calvin and Hobbes. Know the one where they're on the sleigh and whatever. Um, but Lego ideas are always doing things, and I love Snoopy. So for me, they've got a Snoopy and a Woodstock house coming, which someone submitted as a Lego ideas thing. So
Here's a rando for you then that's related.
go on then.
If you could request a Lego set be created for you that doesn't already exist from any sort of character, any sort of
I was going to
media,
ask
TV,
this.
film, books, whatever, what would you choose? It could be real life. Could have a 6'4"
I
Alan Wynne Jones if you wanted.
Yeah, I want a Jack Morgan, thanks. Um, to be honest with you, I they do like the figures of things, and they've done like Dalmatians and all sorts. And I think a Westie would look so cool in Lego. It would look
Hmm.
absolutely
It's an interesting
banging in
thought.
Lego. Um,
Animals. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think I've
So for
seen many
me,
animals.
no. So I would love that because I didn't realize, and John's just bought it for me. I bought earrings, and they're the tiniest, teeniest little. They must have come in a set somewhere. Westie dogs, and they're not even in. They're half an inch, if that. And somebody made them into earrings, so I bought those on Saturday because they reminded me of Tink. Um, but I'd love, like, I think because of the way that a Westie's head and the skirt is, I think it would really suit a full Lego build. But they did do a Lego minifigure thing, which was called Best in Show. And John just bought me one of the figures for £4 because it's a guy holding a cup with a Westie minifig. So he bought me that. That's coming.
Nice.
But I
It's a
think
good
my
shout.
current love that I would absolutely adore, because they've done all like the Stitch Legos and everything. They've got a lot of that. But I'm currently loving Fourth Wing. So I'd love a 10 or an Andana dragon. Like 10 is a black dragon, Andana's like a gold irid, shiny dragon. So if they could tap into the Fourth Wing, and I could have like a Basgiath War College
Is
and
that a
all that
book, is
kind of
it?
thing. Yeah, Fourth Wing's a
Yeah,
book.
okay.
It's about dragons and a war college. So if they could tap into that, I'd be loving life.
Mr. Lego, some dragons for Sam. What about you, Mark?
There's a distinct lack of sporting Lego. There's a lot of F1 Lego, which leads, it's Lego kind of leads itself to that, doesn't it? With cars and stuff, there's always been lots and lots of Lego cars.
Are you going to say a Lego curling set now, Mark?
He's going to go for a baseball field.
Oh, so many sports. It'd be nice to have. It's like I've got a knockoff Diego Maradona Lego figure that I got from Korea or somewhere. You can get these sort of knockoff Legos or whatever. I done it at Christmas actually. We played games and stuff for Christmas, and I got each family member a piece of knockoff Lego for something they were interested in. So it's like I can't remember. Got Ben a Gareth Bale one. I got a Diego Maradona one. Ben's girlfriend had a Taylor Swift one. It'd be really cool to have like, I don't know, like a Welsh 1970s rugby team set where they've properly gone to detail on all of the faces of the players and stuff. So it's not just your standard kind of,
JPR sideburns.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Are you talking minifigs?
The
minifigures.
Or are you talking about
I've always
big
been a
builds
figure
of them?
person. I've always carried figures around in my pockets and stuff and things. I lost God knows how many figures, Star Wars figures as well. God knows how many I've lost over the years. But the little figures of like, your favourite sports team, or like, the Swans 1981 Division 1 team, or I don't know, Chicago Bulls.
The Ted Lasso build was awesome, wasn't it? That I sent you. It did look
fantastic, yeah. But there's just a shortage of sporting Lego. Like you can get sort of knockoff stadium Lego and that kind of things as well. But you can't actually get the official stadium Legos. So you can get like a San Siro in Milan or a St Helens or whatever it might be, or the old, National Stadium in Cardiff.
Yeah.
Just things like that. So much of what I do revolves around sport, and so much of my interests revolve around sport that that's often my go-to when it comes to kind of fantasy things that I'd like as well.
That'd be lush. Yeah. It was going to be my question, Rod, actually. So what would you love if you could submit a Lego ideas?
I liked your animal idea because I think there's a couple of like octopus sets out there, or maybe like big ships with like a kraken. So I think they've done that sort of thing, and they lend themselves quite well to all the legs, and I think it'll be quite cool. Maybe some big like insects could be quite cool. They could be quite intricate builds. But other than that, I'll do you know what? I'll stick with your animal theme, and I'd say a really big tortoise with intricate patterns on the shell, and then I can put it in the tortoise enclosure with my pet tortoise, and probably just end up humping it or something. But
yeah, like you want the tortoise now we're talking about.
I love that. That's epic. But I love that, and I just think that's the kind of thing that I would like.
I'll add to it. The is it called the world turtle?
From
I can't remember in what. Yes, but I think that features in like real world.
It's in Maori
cultural mythologies as well.
Australian culture.
Yeah. So like a giant turtle with the world on its back, and with like 4 elephants propping it up on the back of the turtle. There's like
very
some
much
sort
in
of cool
territory now, Boo.
Yeah. That would be quite cool, wouldn't it? Something like that.
That would be. Yeah, I think Terry Pratchett Lego would be very, very cool because you could
maybe
have
as a
like
coffee table.
Yeah,
that'd be cool, wouldn't it? That'd be cool.
Yeah. So that is us. You found out what we'd like from our Lego builds, but definitely a place where I would want to go again, because somebody actually created a massive, and I mean huge, twice the size of the Lord of the Rings when I sent you, Rorke's Drift with the Zulus and the Welsh gods. That was very cool. Someone did a lot of World War II reenact like stuff as well, which is really weird because Lego doesn't do uniforms or guns. There was a lot of debate around that, the Lego thing about Lego doesn't do that. But that has been
I've seen enough Star Wars kits to know that they do uniforms and guns.
Yeah, but not like real sort of like,
they don't have a Gestapo set.
Yeah, no, they don't have a Gestapo set. There's no Nazis in Lego, Rod.
On that note,
we'll leave it. But that is us for this week. I hope to see some of you who are watching stroke listening at the march on Saturday, and again at the game. I'm really hoping that the coffee people are there again with the old school cake, because the old school cake was banging. But if you enjoy this, please like, share, subscribe, join our WhatsApp channel, all below us. We are a really friendly bunch. We are really accepting, love a bit of banter, love a bit of randomness, love an AI. You know, we do. So if you want to join, then you know what to do. Hit those buttons, like, share, subscribe. And all that's left to say, lads, is I'm Line of Gwael.
I'm Line of Gwael.